last week?
A polar bear.
Yeah, we made polar bears and you guys did such a great job at them. Today, we're going to read a book about polar bears and learn a little bit more. But before we do that, let's think. What do we already know about polar bears? Think about it and then raise your hand if you have something that you know about polar bears that is a fact. First, what is a fact? Does anyone know what a fact is? Piper, what's a fact?
I forgot.
You forgot. Okay. Michael, what is a fact?
Something funny.
Let's see if someone can else help them out. McKenna?
It's something that's real.
Something that is real. So, is a fact, let's see. What could a fact be? Can someone think of a fact about polar bears? Austin? That you already know?
I think I know polar bears can swim probably really far.
So, polar bears can swim?
Yeah, they can. Before I know they can swim really far, because I think a polar bear swims all the way to New York City.
What?
Then there's a movie called Norman. I think it's called Norman the North, and I think he swam all the way to New York City.
Wow.
Because they were laying house in at the North Pole.
So, I just wrote, because I'm writing what we already know. So, Austin just shared with us that he knows that polar bears can swim. Who knows another fact about polar bears? Eli? Can they run really?
I think they can maybe.
I don't know. Maybe we'll find out in our book we read. Audrey?
They're white.
They're white. A lot of polar bears, most polar bears are white. I don't know what other color. So, what should I write? What would I write down for that? Polar bears are white. Let's be thinking of a few more facts. And can someone remind me what a fact is? Lily, what's a fact? Someone want to help her out? Kaylin, what's a fact? Something that is real, so something that is true. So like in a book, this would be a non-fiction because does it have facts in it or is it fake? It's real, so it has facts in it. Very good. Tiernan?
The polar bears have sharp teeth.
Polar bears, I don't know.
They can eat horses over that.
We're gonna find that out in our book. Success?
They eat fish.
Yeah, maybe they do eat fish. So what could we say about polar bears and what they eat? Or should we wait until we read the book to find out how much should we wait for the book? Okay, let's come up with one more fact that we already know before we read this book. Lily? Or in what kind of temperature? Is it really hot where polar bears live?
No.
It's cold. Why do you think they only live in the cold?
Because they live in a zoo.
Some live in the zoo.
Because they're white and they want to stay away from other animals so they won't attack them.
We're going to find out, but I bet they can only live in the cold. So should we write that down? Because we already knew that. So polar bears live in the cold. Now let's go back to thinking of things that we might not already know, but we want to know. Let's think of two things that we want to know about polar bears. Something that we don't already know, but we might learn from this book. Something that you really want to know about polar bears. Piper?
They eat fish.
So we want to know what they eat? What do they eat? Maybe this book will tell us. And does anyone know what this is called at the end of my
Question
question mark? Very good. Micah, one more.
I smashed
We're thinking of what we want to know. So think of a question that we want to know about polar bears that you're interested in. Tiernan?
I want to know how do their claws stay in their fur or do they stay out of it?
So you want to know about their feet?
Mhm.
So how could we form that into a question? Let's see. How do you think we could write that in a question, Tiernan?
I want to know how they walk on the snow.
How they walk on the snow. How do they walk? How do they walk in the snow? Very good, you guys. Okay, now we're going to read our book. It's okay, maybe we'll come back to it. This book is called I Am a Polar Bear. What do you think this book is going to teach us more about? What did you say, Kaylin? Facts about polar bears. I am a polar bear. In this book, I will teach you about myself, my food, my home, my family, and much more. I am a polar bear. I am one of the biggest bears in the world. What is this polar bear looking at?
A wolf.
It could be a wolf or a...
Fox.
Yep. I am one of the biggest bears in the world. I am the size of a kitten when I am born. About how big is a kitten? Can you show me with your hands? Is a kitten a kitten? So like this big? Or is it more like this?
This big.
A kitten is very tiny. So that is the size of a polar bear when they're born. And then they get really big. Okay, we can put our hands down now. Thank you, guys. I can eat up to 100 pounds of food in a meal. Is 100 pounds a lot or not a lot? 100 pounds? That is crazy. It doesn't say what they eat, but it says I can eat up to 100 pounds in a meal. I can smell food from 20 miles away.
Oh, that's good smell.
That's how they can smell their food and get their food.
All bears can do that.
You think? Well, right now we're learning about polar bears, but maybe I ride on floating ice to find food. So what he can do, or what they can do, is they can ride on floating ice to get to their food. Maybe their food is underwater, but that's how they get to their food. I have big paws that work like snowshoes. So do polar bears, how do their feet get protected from the snow? What are their feet like? What did the book just say that their feet are like? Audrey?
Snowshoes, and we have snowshoes to go outside.
You do. Yep.
And they keep our feet warm.
Yes, they do.
That's what makes their feet.
And that's what polar bears have. So Tiernan, did that answer your question? Yeah? So you can keep that in your head for what you did learn. I shake my body like a dog to remove water. Have you guys ever seen a dog shake its body?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what polar bears do too.
My dog shakes it.
Oh, we'll save that for later. I live in one of the coldest parts of the world. I am a polar bear.
They live in the Arctic.
Very good. Was that you, Celia? What is that called? Can you tell everyone?
The Antarctic.
The Arctic. Can you all say that? Arctic. Yep, that is where they live. Are there... Oh, let me ask you guys a question. Are there polar bears in Sioux Falls?
No. Way too warm in summer.
Right, you're right, Austin. It would be way too warm for them. But do we have them at the zoo? Actually, I don't know. Do we have them at the zoo?
Yeah.
They do?
Some zoos we have them.
Some zoos. But otherwise, are they just walking around? Like, are they out on the playground?
No.
No.
You know,
Right. I am a polar bear. And then back here, it actually gives facts about polar bears. So if you guys want to take a look at this book, it has facts about more about like what they eat and the size that they're born and their snowshoes, like their feet. It has a lot of facts. And then there's also this book that I have, and this is also about polar bears. I'm not going to read this one to you, but if you want to take a look at this, you are more than welcome to do so. This one has more information about polar bears. So now we are going to go back to our chart, and we're going to write what we learned from reading this book. So something we didn't know before, but we learned from this book.
I know.
Audrey,
Polar bears can climb.
did we read that in the book?
No.
What did we learn from the book that we just read as a class? Eli?
They float on ice to get their food.
Very good. They float on ice to get their food. Be thinking of something else that you learned from the book. Let's see. Success.
Polar bears live on Arctic.
Yep, you're right. It's called the Arctic. But let's think of something that, well, I will write that down because that's a very good fact.
Or you could write polar bears on the polar space of polar bears.
I'll write them both. They live in the Arctic and the coldest part of the world. Let's think of one more. Be thinking of one more. Ethan. What is something that we read in the book that we learned last week? Do you want some help from a friend? No? Okay. 100 what? They can eat 100, what's the word? It starts with a P. Pounds. That was a good fact that we learned. What, Ragnar?
LB for short.
Yeah, you're right. That is pounds for short. So Ethan, can you repeat that so I can write it down? Polar bears eat how much? Polar bears can eat up to 100 pounds. Very good, you guys. And what are these called that I just wrote down? We wrote them up here and we wrote them down here. Facts. Say it all with me. Facts. Very good. So what's going to happen now is listen for directions before you get up. I am going to pass back your polar bears that you each made. And what you are going to do is you are going to write one of these facts, just one, in pencil. So are we using markers?
No.
What are we going to use?
Pencil.
Pencil. And you are going to write one of these facts right down here on kind of their stomach, kind of just down here. So what are we going to do when we get back to our table spots? Can someone tell me what I just gave directions for? Emery. Pencil. And what are we going to write? Are we going to write 3 facts down here? One fact. And boys and girls, I am going to hang this up here. So if you would like to copy what I have written, you can copy it right onto here with your pencil. Okay? Success?